Okay. What's up there, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Saturday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Utco Roofing. UtcoRoofing.com. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. All right, y'all. How about it? LSU. LSU picks up a 4-star offensive line recruit for the class of 2024. Ethan Callaway is his name. Happened just a few minutes before we went live on AFR on Friday. Callaway's a big dude, 6'7", 300 pounds. He's out of North Carolina. Got offers from darn near everybody: Florida, Georgia, Arkansas, Bama, all of them. So big old dude, big old prospect, and Penn State. So one of the best offensive linemen in the country. He is a top 100 prospect overall, number 74. He's the number 1 player in North Carolina, the number 10 offensive tackle in the country. So big time dude, big time prospect, and that's a big one for Brian Kelly and for Brad Davis to go out of state to get the number 1 player in North Carolina. But it continues to underscore how good Brian Kelly is at recruiting and developing offensive linemen. Just when you think about Emory Jones and Will Campbell as freshmen, you got Lance Hurd, 5-star, coming in this year. Ethan Callaway there. You return your top 6 offensive linemen from this past year. I guess Bradford is the one exception. Bradford went pro, but you return 6 of your top 7 from a year ago. But you feel really good about it, and now you feel, even though you're probably going to lose after this year. I guess Charles Turner could come back, use his COVID year if he wants, but Charles Turner, Garrett Dellinger, Miles Frazier. You could lose all those guys. Marlon Martinez. You could lose a lot of those guys. So, but to think you'll return Emory Jones, Will Campbell, you got the Maryland transfer, Mason Lunsford coming in, and the JUCO tight end, Connor Gilbreth. Connor Gilbreth, the JUCO tight end who's coming in, who, remember, he's really just an offensive tackle. He's listed as a tight end, but they will continue to develop him as an offensive lineman. So you've got some real talent, real depth on that offensive line for 2023 and for 2024. So real exciting, man. It's exciting. And then also, if you missed it Friday night, LSU announced Nate Yeske as the new pitching coach. That's the name we've been talking about here for weeks. Yeske was with LSU or Jay Johnson at Arizona. Had been at Texas A&M there under Jim Schlossnagle. So Yeske was he's been in the College World Series with 3 different programs. He's been there with Oregon State, where they won the national championship. If you remember all those great Oregon State teams, I mean, LSU played that team in 2018 or 2017, 2018. Oregon State went and won the national championship. That was the year Arkansas dropped the pop up, and so he won the national championship with Oregon State in 2018. Went back with Jay Johnson, was there with Jay Johnson when he was at Arizona when he went in 2021. And then now has been with Jim Schlossnagle at A&M the last 2 years. So, it's the one that we talked about first. I mean, for as long as we've been talking about pitch coach, I gave you 3 names. I told you Nate Yeske, Robert Woodard and Corey Mascara, and didn't rule out the possibility of Jay getting someone out of the pros. But if I had to guess, it would be Yeski, and ultimately it was. So the one question I have that I'd love to know, and we'll ask Jay, when I get a chance to talk to him, but he had Yeski with him in Arizona in 20 and 21, and Jay Johnson got the LSU job and didn't bring Yeski with him to Baton Rouge, so why not? That would be my one question. And maybe he offered and Kerry didn't want to. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why that could have transpired that way. But anyway, but so. Eslian Jason, good morning. Mike Tiger 2023 national champs, an actual morning scone today. Truex, what's going on? Damon Gilmore, Janet, what's going on? Yes, pitching coach. Tim Gotro, Dalton Barnett, good morning. Hang on, I think Drew wants to get out of his bed. Hang on, I'll come right back. Say hi to Dad, Joe? You want to come say hi? No. Oh, cold-blooded, Drew. Cold-blooded. Oh, here he comes. Are you coming to say hi? No. You're not coming to say hi to Dad, Joe? You want to say hi, Dad, Joe? Yes. Okay. Come see. Well, after Dad's show, we can get dressed. We'll go fry in Dad's car to Dad's work. Remember, Dad's got to go get his car. New car. All right. Oh, wait. Oh, we got to find ourselves. Wait. A little late there. Where are we? There we are. Who do you see? Mom. That is Mommy. Who do you see here? Drew. You want to say hi to Dad's show? Hi, Dad's show. Oh, that was good. Okay. All right. Mark Vitanovich, good morning. Cool Pelican shirt. Yeah, man. I don't know where I got. Was this? This had to be one of the ones that they left on the chairs or something like that at one of the games. Yeah, it's got the Zatarans on it, so it was probably a promotional at one of the games or something. Hey, Dad. Good morning. Bubba Smith, Scotty Young, Hong Tam Win. Good morning. Lost my spot. LSU baseball will win 5 natties in the next 10 years. I'm not going to go that far, Hong Tian Win. Let's not get crazy. I mean, let's not lose sight of just how hard it is to do what they just did. I certainly don't think Jay Johnson is done winning them. However, I would have also said the same about Pulmonary when he won a title in 2009, which was his 3rd year. Remember, he was in Omaha in year 2 and won it in year 3, and none of us thought that was going to be the last one. He would end up going to Omaha 5 times, and they never got over the hump again. So, very hard to win, man. Don't take him for granted. Brant Roban, good morning. JJ got another stud pitching coach. Have you talked about what else you may look like next year? So, again, Nate Yeski, literally since Wes Johnson left, that's maybe the first name we've been mentioning here since. But yeah, Yeski's a great pitching coach. He's the two-time national pitching coach of the year. He was again the pitching coach on that 2018 Oregon State team that won the national championship. Was with Jay Johnson at Arizona in 2020 and 2021. He's coached a lot of really good pitchers, and I think this is one that they were also looked to nab him from A&M is a good thing, right? So not only do you strengthen your staff, but you also weaken theirs in theory. So that's a good thing. He was there at Oregon State for a long time under Pat Casey. So while I was at Oregon State, I'm reading here, 32 pitchers selected in the draft, 6 of whom have reached the major leagues. He was a 9th-round pick of the Twins back in '96 from UNLV. So it's a good get, man. It's a good get. That's a flex to be able to steal a guy within your league. But again, he and Jay already have a history there. My one question is why Jay didn't hire him bring him with him from Arizona when he got the job. Earl, good morning. Thinking about putting some coin on the Tigers making football playoff this year. Your thoughts? Not a bad bet. I certainly think that the biggest challenge is you're going to play Georgia in the SEC championship. So now we'll see what Georgia is this year. I think there's a real question in losing Todd Monken as far as what that offense is going to look like. I think Georgia will always have a really good defense because Kirby is going to recruit to that. But yeah, you're replacing Stetson Bennett, played quarterback for a long time, and remember it was Todd Monken who really that was always the knock on Georgia with Kirby was. Defense was great, had a lot of talent on offense, but the offense couldn't quite figure it out, and Todd Monken kind of was the unlock. Well, now Monken's in Baltimore with the Ravens, so they hired Mike Bobo to be the OC. How does that go? Kerry Hughes, good morning. Ben Boudreaux, good morning from the tugboat. Miss Nelda on the mighty Mississippi River. It's hot, bro. All right, Ben, be safe out there, man. Earl, Matt, does LSU have top 5 D-line and O-line this year? Top 5 in the SEC or top 5 in the country? Samuel Merrifield, Matt, any news from the portal in baseball? They are trying like heck to get Chase Burns. So, see, I think you'll have a much better sense of all that when when after the draft. You'll see how things go. Remember, when players enter the portal, they don't have that portal window. They don't have to commit to a school in the portal window. It's just the window in which they can put their name in. So, plenty of work to do. Patrick Cason, morning, Matt. Do we need to keep an eye on Eli's baseball career? Eli's got to get a little bigger before we start looking at his baseball career. As far as is Eli going to be a big leaguer one day? But he loves the game, man. He loves to play. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch him because he loves to play so much. Let's see. Ali Samandori, Avery Ardwan, Ray Greer. Good morning, y'all. Wonder who called the shifts on the infield during Game 3. Kudos to them. Gary Atchison, good morning, Matt and family. I missed the new pitching coach. Who is it? Nate Yeski. Was at Texas A&M the last 2 years. He was Jay's pitching coach at Arizona in 2020 and 2021. Was at Oregon State for like 10 years before that. With Pat Casey, all those great Oregon State teams, he was there. He's legit. I mean, Nate Yeski is one of those guys that, like, who he is. He's been around a long time, does a great job. So, Todd Harris, good morning. Patrick Case on that. Maybe Jay wanted an MLB coach to work with Skeens. It was one done from the beginning. I don't think that was the case, Patrick. I know that wasn't the case, actually. Um, I don't think you ever hire a coach wanting him to be a one and done assistant. Um, but might happen again next year with Yeski. So happened the year before Jason Kelly. So you got to remember, Wes Johnson wasn't just a pro coach. Wes Johnson had been a pitching coach like at Arkansas. I mean, he was kind of lauded for helping Dave Van Horn build Arkansas into what they have become as a really good program. So, yeah, Wes Johnson was in the pros, but Wes Johnson also wanted to get back to college. He didn't want to be a pro coach anymore. Foreman Kid 8. Matt, who's your Heisman favorite this year? Caleb Williams. I mean, he won it last year. USC should be just as good, if not better, this year. So, I mean, now we've never seen, we haven't seen a back-to-back winner since Archie Griffin, or he's the only back-to-back winner in the 70s, but it's very hard to win, as evidenced by the fact that it's only happened once ever. But, I mean, he's got to be the favorite. Beth Richard, Bearded Dragon, Edward O, LSU will have another top 5 class in 2024 by the time signing day rolls around. I think that's a fair assumption. Yeah, I agree with that. You're too natty for BK. Cortland, wife grew up in that area of North Carolina. Okay. Y'all smash that like button if you would. Sir Cajun Carter, good morning. Finally a morning scout. Austin Kidder, good morning. Going up to 115 in Vegas this weekend. Louisiana folks should come check it out, see if they still think it's just dry heat. Terry, did you hear Terry said that yesterday on AFR? I called him on it, y'all. Like, I have been in Vegas in the summer, and as many of you have as well, but I've been, like, at a Vegas pool party in the summer, and 110, 115 degrees is quite uncomfortable. Feels like you're in an oven. All right, let's see. Cortland, I was looking through the top 250. I can't believe how many kids from Georgia are ranked so high. If Georgia doesn't end up the number 1 class, it would be a disappointment. Yeah, Georgia's a great football state. Good question, Edward. When are y'all cracking the Blanton's Gold? I will. So I'd hope to do it with Cade and Rodney yesterday on the show. OTB had Cade in studio though, so I didn't want to double up on the same day. So I need I did see Cade yesterday when they were wrapping up their show yesterday morning. So I told him about it. He's down. So we just got to get a time when the 3 of us can all make it happen. So, Kobe Walker, what will the LSU roster look like next year? I assume you're talking baseball. Well, I think what we know here, so you'll have Brady Neal catching. I think Bear Jones will play first. Your middle infield spots are up for grabs. Tommy White's at third. Paxton Kling's at center. And Josh Pearson's at one of your corner outfield spots. So you got a good core right there coming back. Thatcher Hurd will be your Friday night guy, barring some upset. And, we'll see what everybody else elects to do. How many games can LSU win in football? I think LSU is capable of winning every game on their schedule. I would not have said that last year. If you at the end of this year tell me LSU goes 12-0 in the regular season, I will not be surprised. Now, I think there's also a lot of pitfalls on that schedule. So to expect that is probably a little foolish. It's why LSU, I think their projection's 9.5 maybe. So they 10-2, 9-3 is kind of what Vegas is projecting. I would love to see them surpass that, but I get it if they drop a few. But I think LSU is certainly capable of winning every game on their schedule. Do you think playing UCLA, USC, Bama, OU, Aggies, and Florida is much cakewalk as Georgia's? No, I think next year's a really tough schedule. 2024 is going to be brutal. I mean, just considering you play 2 Power 5 non-conference. I mean, you're playing USC in Vegas and you're playing UCLA here. You just don't get a breather. So, I love that Oklahoma's coming here. I think that's going to be a really fun game. Bama will be here. So, it's going to be a great schedule, man. You want to talk about that home schedule? Whew, it's going to be awesome. Wendell Norman, what's going on? Brad David, are you going to be on air Monday? Yes. So T-Bob and Hester took a day off. T-Bob's going up to Toledo Bend. Not that y'all need to know his personal life. And then Hester just took the day off as well with the baby. So Mario will fill in for the guys. Ott and Haney took the day off, so we'll just run Greeny. We'll run national programming. Then Hunt and I will be in on Monday. Then Tuesday, everybody's off on Tuesday. We'll play on 4th of July. ESPN radio just runs Major League Baseball throughout the day, so we'll just have Major League Baseball on throughout the day. Hey, babe.
Hey.
Has anybody entered the transfer portal in baseball? Yes, Josh Stevenson. Let's see. Oh yeah, for those of y'all when you were missing audio there for a second, it was Terrio called me on the phone, so that's why if you're on YouTube and you lost audio for a second, that's what happened. Brad David, why do the NCAA want Will Wade's head so bad? Don't many coaches cheat? Was it personal? Well, yes, it was two things. One, it was so obvious because his voice was on the recording. And then number two, Wade and LSU were so defiant. Despite him being on the recording, LSU didn't fire him. They dug in their heels and supported him. And then LSU collectively, fan base, etc., it very much was line in the sand. You're with us or against us, and they picked that fight. Andy Boy, what up, Scone? Pumped to see this offensive line this year. Got some dogs, yes sir. Dalton Barnett, let's see. Carson Kilgore, Sandman got beer. What's going on? Bearded Dragon, Justin Marquez, good morning. Shelby Kelly, love the Yeski hire. Won't get the National Pub Westcott, but still a great hire. Cold cases, that's a good, yeah. I mean, so again, I'll circle back for everybody just joining us now. And for those of you who are here, every day or most every day, you've heard me say Nate Yeski from the beginning. That was always the sort of odds-on favorite in a small group of maybe 3 or 4 coaches that they were considering. So, but yes, Nate Yeski's a great coach. I mean, he's a 2-time National Pitching Coach of the Year. He was at Oregon State for a decade with Pat Casey. Spent 2 years with Jay at Arizona. They went to the World Series in 2021, and then the last 2 years was at A&M. Of course, they went to the World Series last year. So, in Schlossnagel's first year. So yeah, Yeski's a great pitching coach, great pedigree. Similar to Jason Kelly and Wes Johnson, though. I mean, you're going to very likely lose him to a head coaching job sooner than later, which is okay. Just keep reeling in big fish. Let's see, Matt. Do you think Bobby Petrino was a good hire for Jimbo? Only if Jimbo lets him call plays and leaves him alone. But if Jimbo continues to, if those two clash, then that's a problem for them. Brian Turner, good morning. Unfortunately, it looks like LSU's fallen a good bit behind in the Colin Simmons recruitment odyssey. Can we catch up? I have no idea. Brian, I'm sorry. I'm just the wrong guy to ask about what school is where with what recruit. I'm just not. There's people who cover recruiting do a great job doing it, and those are the people to ask. All right. Cody Thibodeau, Quinn Matthews from Stanford enter the portal, but that's more of a negotiation ploy with MLB teams. So I looked that up yesterday, and I'm going to be interested to see what goes on there. See, and I did read this correctly. So he's expected to graduate in June from Stanford. He graduated from Stanford in June. So Yeah, that's interesting. So, hmm, I'm looking up where I'm just very quickly trying to see where he might be ranked in a in oh, number 86. Okay, so MLB has him ranked as the 86th best prospect. So it's a round three guy. You're talking, right about $1 million signing bonus. Um, and if he's got leverage to come back to school, that's cool, good for him. So yeah, I'd expect he'd sign. But if you can get him to commit, come on. I mean, get him to commit with the understanding that it's a fallback. Still take him. Um, Mike Hardy, good morning. Kobe asking about Nate Yeski want to become a head coach. Yeah, I mean that's every coach's goal ultimately is to get there. So what?
Paintbrushes fell in my coffee.
Your paintbrush fell in your coffee.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Brand, could you imagine Georgia and Bama having dud quarterbacks this year? Yes, absolutely. I think that will happen at Alabama, actually. But it doesn't mean they can't be great everywhere else and compensate. And Georgia, I don't know what to expect with Carson Beck. So, yeah, I mean, I could absolutely see that happening. I think the bigger thing too is not just the players themselves. Remember, like Bama is replacing both coordinators, um, and Georgia lost Todd Monken, their offensive coordinator. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely think both those teams take a step back. The problem with Georgia is, or if you want Georgia to fall, the problem with that is their schedule is an absolute joke. So I mean, just usher them into the SEC championship game. Avery Ardway ready to go back to Omaha for the weather. Matt, do you think Christian Little will be drafted on potential? Of course. But I think the interesting thing for Christian Little is we had this conversation yesterday on AFR with Kylie McDaniel from ESPN, and he sees Little as a round three guy. So, does Christian Little want to take 750, 800K and go try to start a pro career, or does he want to come back and try to improve and then maybe push himself forward? The problem with Little is, he was an early enrollee at Vanderbilt, so he started his SEC career at 17 years old, and you're talking about a guy going into his fourth year of college now. While he would have the COVID year still to take advantage of if he wanted to, you do lose leverage when you're in your last year of school. So ultimately, I do. I haven't talked to Christian Little, I don't know, but my assumption is he would sign and go pro. Jeff McKithen, Jason Horn, Blaine Smith, ESPN cutting everyone loose. Hope Matt is safe. I'm good, Blaine. I don't know if you're being serious. Yeah, there were a lot of layoffs at ESPN yesterday. I don't know if you know, but like ESPN doesn't sign my paycheck. Guarantee Media does. So Guarantee Media is a Baton Rouge company that owns 104.5 FM and has a contract with ESPN to be an affiliate. So that's how the affiliates work. I don't work for ESPN. My radio group and ESPN are partners, and then I work obviously for Guarantee Media. Kelly Gross, good morning. Samuel Merrifield, what do you think about the ESPN firing, such as Kellerman and others? Clearly, ESPN is de-emphasizing radio, ESPN radio. That's obvious. I mean, they fired Max, they fired Keyshawn. Um, and best to everybody who got laid off. That it sucks. I mean, but a lot of long-standing on-air talent there. Susie Colbert let go. Steve Young, Matt Hasselbeck. Um, there's a bunch. But it's I think it's just indicative of what's happening across the media landscape. Like, the opinion makers are the ones that are generating revenue. Um, Stephen A, Brian Clark. Um, look at still Kornheiser and Wilbon on PTI. They're rolling. Like, it's very hard in new media today to have a traditional type of job, because um, you don't need a reporter necessarily for every team like you did at one point, um, because of social media. It's given the athletes, the coaches, the teams the ability to control their own message. So, um, and then you have cord cutters. I think a lot of people know this, but for those that don't, just for the benefit of those that may not, and I don't know if you actually care, but I'll share it with you. So, the way ESPN became this gigantic, monolith was when ESPN was founded in '79. they There was no such thing as 24-hour sports, and so the way cable networks operated was that they would pay um, the content providers to carry their channel. So, like, for example, Cox in Baton Rouge, just for example, would pay ESPN to say, we'll pay you X dollars to carry your channel, and then they could offer it on their cable lineup to all of their subscribers. Well, nobody wanted to pay ESPN because nobody knew if 24-hour sports would work. So what ESPN said was, how about this? Don't pay us anything. We'll take a rights fee for every subscriber that wants our channel. So offer it to all of your subscribers for $3.99 a month or whatever it was, right? If they wanted ESPN or they wanted another sports tier, and give us a percentage, give us a rights fee. And of course, what happened was everyone carried ESPN. It grew into what it was. And so that rights fee structure was something that ESPN sort of bet on itself early and ended up making enormous amounts of money. Well, what's happened subsequent now is with cord cutters, you're seeing fewer and fewer and fewer people with cable. So the number of subscribers and the fee amount for ESPN has continued to go down as people continue to cut the cord, which is why you've seen ESPN not only have layoffs, but also introduce ESPN Plus, their own OTT service, to try to compensate for some of that revenue lost and to get into the streaming game. So, so that's really what's happened. Anyway, I don't know if y'all care about that, but that's what happened. Blaine Smith, 8 Saturdays into college football, or 7 because of week 0. I'm here for it all. Let's see. Blaine Smith said podcast is the way to go. Actually, Blaine, podcasts, I think certainly there are people who consume via podcast, but and look, I'm an audio guy, right? I'm on radio, but radio will always have a place because it's free, as long as radio is in the vehicle, and local will always have a place because no matter what, y'all, if you're living, you're always going to care about LSU, the Saints, Pelicans, right? And so you can't get that on national platforms. And as long as radio is free and available in the car, local radio will always have a place. Talk, certainly talk formats. Music has a bigger challenge, but local talk will always have a way. But obviously there's people who, just look at what we've done. From our YouTube creation and content and giving people video, we podcast all of our shows as well, because you have to realize that in this day and age of media, you have got to be wherever your audience is. allowing them to consume your content however they want, whenever they want, in whatever format. Do you want long form audio? Do you want short form audio? Do you want short form vertical video? Do you want long form video? Do you want live video streaming? Do you want live audio streaming? Like, you just have to give them all those options. Let's see, the Pirate. It's funny to sit up here and talk about how good coaches are anymore when you're buying college athletic teams. The difference is, Pirate, is you can buy a team or players or whatever you want to say, but you still have to develop those kids when they get there. I mean, isn't Christian Little a great example of that? I mean, here's a guy that, at one point was, as a high schooler, the #1 arm in the country. He goes to Vanderbilt. He's there for 2 years, loses his spot. He comes to LSU and really doesn't have a great year. Then look at Paul Skeens, which I'll tell you this flatly. I know it's funny because people don't actually conceptualize this. Look at the job LSU developing Paul Skeens this year. Like, Paul Skeens last year wasn't Paul Skeens. He wasn't the #1 pick and the best pitcher any of us have seen in a decade. And I also know for a fact, if you think LSU bought Paul Skeens with NIL, that didn't happen. He got NIL money through the collective, as did all the players. But it ain't like Paul Skeens got broke off to come to LSU. That didn't happen. Flatly, LSU's collective isn't well funded, and baseball certainly isn't the priority that football is. So now there are two very, very, very big baseball donors who, if LSU needs something, they know who to go talk to get. And it's two men whose wives' names are on the Champions Club at the box, if you're curious. But anyway, no, I'm not going to block that guy. You have to be willing to consider other people's opinions to know what to address. Like, I would not have been able to address that if he didn't throw that. Now, his comment is ignorant. He's making an assumption about buying players or this or that. And and if we're being very honest, it's no different than how anything has ever been done. It's just, all right, are you contributing money to a collective for NIL purposes? Or are you building the biggest stadium, the best facilities, hiring the best coaches, best swag, whatever? Like, the fact still remains. It's just where you're just displacing the funds in different places. I mean, it's a little different than what's always been. Brett DeGrow, what's going on? Cortland Jacob. Andy Boy, over under for football, 9.5 is where Vegas has LSU. Janet, how was Mama Scone's retirement dinner? We had a good time. Thank you, Janet. Yeah, so Mama Scone retired. Yesterday was her last day of work. So she's 66 and spent the last 30 years working at Most Blessed Sacrament. So Mama Scone started working right out of high school. When she was 18, she went straight to work. So she's been working a long time, man. Long time. Almost 50 years. GameCube, man, what's going on? Let's see, how much longer for LSU to win 6 more titles? Oof. CWS titles. Let's see. I think if you win 2 in a decade, that's really impressive. So I'd love to see it in my lifetime, put it to you that way. I just think sometimes we forget how hard it is to win. If we go back to 2009, we would have been saying this about Maneri, that he was going to win how many more? And that was year 3. He got to Omaha in year 2, and he won it in year 3, and didn't win it again. It's hard, man. He had some great teams. I mean, the best LSU regular season ever was 2013. They were 23-7 in the conference. Hi, Hershelton. I didn't miss you, Hershey. I didn't miss you when you leave. Let's see. Do a couple more here. Tommy Poole, good morning. It's GameCube man Matt. My grandfather's worried Jay is going to be out of state players, not recruit Louisiana players. Nah, they'll recruit Louisiana fine. For a couple reasons. One, I mean, Louisiana produces great players. And two, you also still have the benefit with Tops of recruiting Louisiana players. So they'll always recruit Louisiana players. Let's see. How damaging is coaching turnover for baseball compared to football? I'm trying to think of when LSU lost an assistant in baseball and it hurt. Andy Cannizaro. Andy was a great hitting coach, and that happened very suddenly late in the process. If you remember, John Cohen left Mississippi State or resigned as coach to become the athletic director of Mississippi State. It was right before the season, and so Andy left LSU. So it left LSU in a pinch, and I think that's when they promoted Micah. So Micah stepped in a pinch, and I just think it's different in football because, especially if you're talking about a coordinator, you're talking about someone who's so involved in the actual game operation. Like if you're the offensive coordinator, you're calling plays, like it just matters. I mean, you're exactly right. Look what happened in 2019. I mean, it's the transition from Matt Canada to Steve Ensminger, and then from Steve Ensminger to what was Jake Peets, who had never been a play caller before. Look at what happened, Spencer P. Let's see. Cody Walters. Yeski seems like a great hire. Why didn't JJ bring him to LSU? Cody, that's my question. And when I get a chance to talk to Jay, I'll get Jay on next week. We'll find a time to have him. There's some things I definitely want to ask him about. So, man. Does LSU go up to the pitcher from Stanford? If he actually does want to continue playing college ball, of course, they make that call. Dylan, Joey Metke, good morning from Southern California. Okay, Jonathan Martin, Cortland Jacob. I wonder if Mississippi State has printed championship shirts, being they beat LSU 2 out of 3 in Baton Rouge. Dave Ender, is NIL money taxable income? So, for the student athlete, yes, absolutely. And that's one of the cool things about Matchpoint is they handle all of the tax documents. So like in Matchpoint, I don't even know if a lot of people know this. So Matchpoint, which is the Baton Rouge company, which their operational structure is that they act as the intermediary to facilitate deals between businesses or brands and influencers, or in this case, student athletes. They handle all. That's one of the things. It as an intermediary, as a third party, you have a means, so money is going directly from business to athlete, and then also they handle the tax part of it as well. So it's a really great. Matchpoint is a great resource. Let's see, but yes, Dave, to answer your question, absolutely, it's taxable. Those guys and gals have to pay tax on their NIL money. That's income. Most of our lineup of pulmonary recruits, guess we brought them to LOL. Oh, bought them, I'm sure. Yeah. No, I mean, look, you just got to understand that. I guess y'all are talking to that fan there. So, any more I got to get to, y'all? Sorry, I need to get going a little bit here. Right. I think we're just about done. Shout out, y'all. JJ Tyler just tuned in. Any word on Chase Burns? Not yet, man. Tony Williams, good morning. Sid Durbin. Matt, how much did Skeens collect for Folds of Honor charity? Yeah, man. He said he was going to donate $10 for every strikeout, so he ended up with 209 strikeouts, right? So, two Jeepers, man. That's pretty cool. $2,090 is where it would end. I don't know if other people donated too, but really, really cool. Right. Austin Fridge, haven't been on the radio recently. Who do you think will be coming back as in draftees for the baseball team? Yeah, kind of went through what the guys that we know will be back. As far as guys the guys that you have to look and that'll have a decision to make. Christian Little, Blake Money, Grant Taylor, Riley Cooper, Nate Ackenhausen. Those are the guys that are in the junior class, Braden Jobert, that are going to have a decision to make. Do you come back and play another year at LSU, or do you just take a smaller amount to begin your pro career and go try to make it? And some of it might be, hey, you got to make it an independent ball to get into a minor league system, because you'll know what happened here in recent years is that the minor league system has been slashed. There aren't as many teams. There aren't as many rounds in the draft. So the path for the marginal prospect is much more difficult now. So for some of those guys, it might just be a better circumstance to come back to LSU, play another year, and see if you could bump draft stock. It may not make you as much money on the front end, but if you good examples like we talked about with Cole Freeman and Kramer, they went like 2 picks apart in round 4 in the 2017 draft. Kramer told me though in 2016 he went in the 32nd round. He was offered more money in round 32 than he got in round 4 because he had no leverage. But when you're a 4th round pick, you're going to be in somebody's farm system, right? So, all right, y'all. I think we're just about done. Let me get scooting here. Thanks so much for watching. As always, shout out to Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing. After hours clinics open at Brock today, so if you need an orthopedist, you can bypass the ER and go see our friends over at Brock. And also, as always, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Would love to give you that free, no obligation roofing inspection. Just click the link pinned there in the chat. We'd love to come help you out. Randall said, Matt, I was shocked to hear Ryan say he wasn't sure if Morgan was going pro or returning. Morgan's going pro. Is Quinn Matthews coming to LSU? Don't know. Matt, any plans in place to strengthen our collective? Maybe tapping a bunch of professionals to donate small amounts that can add up something large yearly. Cold case, it's not necessarily for lack of effort, but you have to understand there are some people who simply refuse. They will not contribute to a collective and participate in NIL. And the other part of it is, if you're contributing to the collective, if it's not a 501c3, so it's not a write-off, like contributing to TAF, which is a 501c3, if it's not a tax deductible or a write-off, and if you don't get any type of like priority points for it, a lot of donors are going to say, why would I give money to that? So it's a challenge, man. It's a real challenge. So, but what you're describing though is basically, you could sort of crowdsource, right? Which is why the collective opened up that little thing where they want Bayou Traditions, where the average fan can go contribute. Like, cold case, are you contributing? Probably not. I mean, that's not a knock on you. I'm not contributing to it, but it's like, would the average fan give $10 a month? What if every fan gave $10 a month? Like, but the average fan's going to go, I'm gonna give them $10 a month. You know what I mean? So just think of that in terms of a multiple with a wealthy supporter, wealthy fan, same thing. So anyway, okay, I gotta go. Y'all have an awesome day. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.